All right, so today I want to go over a solar dehydrator. And this is my drawing right now. So this is a pallet and this is 2x4. This is looking at the side. So this is a 2x4. There's plywood on this side, and then on this side there is a layer of plastic, clear plastic. This is also 2x4 on the bottom and 2x4 on the top. You're going to make a 4x8 border, 4 foot by 8 foot border with the 2x4. And then you're going to lay it long ways, so it should be longer horizontally than vertically when it's laying down. You got some legs here that attach to the top, and that attaches to a pallet so it stays off the ground. That gives it better airflow. And then it's going to be south facing so it can get fried by the sun and build up heat. And there are going to be holes in the bottom and in the top here of the 2x4 where you just drill holes in it. And that's going to pull fresh air in. And here it is from the back. So the way I want to load it up, you have these air holes coming out through here, through the top. Here's the pallet. Well, this little cookie cutter area right here is the area that I want to cut the back of the pallet, because that's where you're going to load in everything that you want to dehydrate. So this is kind of how it looks from the top, just if we were looking at this section right here from the top. So there's going to be this whole inner box is where the back is cut, and then these two borders right here, see there's one with squiggly lines and then here's the other one with squiggly lines. That's a border, and they're pretty much just going to be like 2x2s, or 1x2s, something like that, so that I can set it to the bottom of the plywood here and put some mosquito net on top of that, and that'll be the grid or the tray that I'm going to put all of the dehydrated stuff that I want to dehydrate. So should look something like this, or that's the idea for the solar dehydrator. All right, so I didn't record the process of making this frame and adding the plywood to it, just because this was originally from another project table that we had in our house, and we just put like a table cover over it, and I would use this to put on top of the exterior, our exterior, so that we could drive out into the field and load stuff on top of it and sit on top of the exterior, and it would just, hold it all inside here. But now that I'm redoing the inside of the house, I have a lot of scaffolding in there, so this had to go. This was in the living room, but now I want to make that solar dehydrator from it, and I've already put in the lines of where this tray is going to be. So remember, from that drawing, I'm going to be cutting all of this out. Now what I have is 2 heavy duty hinges here that I'm going to add to each side. And these will help with just opening and closing the back, because remember, this is going to be leaning, so gravity is going to be doing a lot of that for you. But have some sort of latch here at the top that you can unhook and set it down, load up your tray, and then hook it back up, and you don't ever have to mess with, hopefully, the plastic layer that's going to be over here. So what I wanted to show you right now is that I made the frame and I made my first cut where I'm going to put my hinges at. It'll just make it easier to add these hinges on after I've made this first cut. So make the first cut, add your hinges, then cut out the rest, and that'll sort of keep that there. I might have to go ahead and make a latch so that it can hold the bottom, or flip it over and cut it that way, but we'll see. But anyways, you need to make sure that you keep a nice, and actually I might use one more hinge, I might do 3 hinges, but you want to make sure that you cut this first and add the hinges to it before cutting everything else out. Otherwise you're going to have to lift it back up to get the hinges on, and it'll be a pain. So that's the first thing. Get the frame, get the plywood on top of it, border it however you want to border it. Cut one of the long sides and then get your hinges on it. All right, so I've got the hinges on, and I think what I want to do is I want to move this before I cut this open. That way when I open it up and lay it down and work on the tray on the inside, it won't be on the floor and this will be propped up. So I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring this over to the area where I'm going to set it up. I'm going to set up the pallets underneath it, and I'm going to set up the supports so that I can sit at the right angle before I cut the rest of this open. All right, so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put it right here at the corner of the front yard. I may have to level this out a little bit. Not too sure yet how these will sit, but if I set it out at the corner of the yard, then it will be south facing and it'll be out of the way of all the solar panels over here. So just make sure wherever you set it up, you're getting a lot of sun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set these up over here, a place where I can still maintain, like cut around it and stuff like that. So I'm going to put them here, and then I'm going to go ahead and set up the brace for the dehydrator, and then we'll cut it open. All right, so the way I'm setting this down is hopefully finding a piece of the front yard that is south facing and hopefully flat. This here has a little bit of some divots in it right here, so I'm probably gonna have to level that out. I do have some crushed concrete lying around. I could probably put underneath it and level that area out some. And then I'm doing this, I'm making sure that the pallets are laying down long ways. So if I have the front of the solar dehydrator right here, sitting right here, and it's leaned over, there should be some sort of brace right about here, maybe even here too, I'm not sure yet. It would make it a little bit harder for me to open up the tray, but at least, or maybe just one right here in the middle, one right here in the middle, and so that will hold up the solar dehydrator somewhere, hopefully right around here. And then remember, the back end is going to have that cut out tray, so you can just pop open the top here, lay it down. It should, if you're doing it long ways like this, should just be able to lay down onto the pallet and make it a lot easier, hopefully give it more support. So I need to level this out because I do want to take up this corner right here because it's got good, it's got a lot of access to sun, and there's nothing that we really need to put right here. So I'm going to level this out a little bit, and then I'll get everything else set up. Point that I can put this on, about right there, using a pin, keep it flush. Make you a line right there. You can cut that, add it to it. This will just go straight onto the plywood, and then straight onto the plywood and then onto the pallet here. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this and add this first one, and then I'll do the second one here. All right, the legs have been installed. This is just 2x6, some scrap 2x6 I had laying around, and I don't have this middle brace on anymore. That was helping just support it while I put the legs on, but it may need it. Right now it's not sagging, but if it does in the future, I may just have to add another brace, maybe like right here and right here. Other than that, the next thing I'm going to start on is just cutting this line here, and then if that cuts smoothly, then I'll just come from the front here, cut that down. do. So I'm gonna cut a little bit on that side, a little bit on this side, and then I can use my string to draw a line back. Alright, that's gonna have to do. Let's get this line made. Alright, not the best, but we got a cut through the top. Now I'm just gonna connect them going down, and then it should just be able to hinge out because I have those hinges on there now. Then I'll have to think of some sort of system. What I'm thinking right now is maybe just like a long piece of wood screwed in or bolted in, and then it just acts as kind of like a switch here, so I'd have to have it on both sides, but whenever I turn that lever, it should ideally close and keep it from falling down. So that's what I'm thinking for the mechanism to lock it in place. But everything's coming together right now, and need to cut the sides of these, and then I'll add the brace or the borders or the brackets, whatever you want to call them. They'll be as long as these cut lines here, piece of wood. And then on top of that piece of wood, I'm going to pull and stretch out some patio screen. And so the patio screen will ideally be the rest of it. And honestly, I'm hoping that whatever I put on here can stay on the screen and it's not a steep enough slope for it all to just fall down. I'm hoping the screen will be rough enough, but we'll see. That's the idea so far. I'll probably just do another update because it's getting pretty late today. But I appreciate you guys watching. Stay tuned for more.